right, we have here today on the Moms Without Capes podcast, Beth Miller. Welcome to the show, Beth.
Thanks for having me.
So Beth has coached many women, wives, and moms and helped them transform themselves and their marriages. She's a marriage coach, a teacher of psychology, and consulting hypnotist. And one of her secret weapons is hypno-journeying. She has appeared in major media publications, countless blogs, and numerous podcasts. And today, Beth will be sharing with us how we can use hypno-journeying to completely transform our relationships with our spouses. So before we dive into all of that, can you share with us a little bit more about your journey and what brought you to be in the place you are today?
Oh, absolutely. So I'm Beth, like you said, and I am a mom to three wildly wonderful, crazy little men that are 7, 9, and 11. And I've been married to my husband for 14 years. And I am now a marriage coach, and it was a little bit by accident. I didn't fully intend to start coaching women, particularly a lot of times women who've been struggling with infidelity. About 3/4 of my clients are marriage struggles because of affairs. And what happened was it's crazy, but I had a brain bleed. Healthy 39-year-old woman, 3 young kids, and all of a sudden I started to lose my ability to walk. And what happened was my brain was bleeding on the left side, and it's on your motor strip. So I was losing my function on my right leg and my right hand. And I spent a month in hospital learning to rehab. But with that came a lot of internal pain. I lost who I was, really. I was a busy mom. I couldn't be a mom because I was in the hospital, was fairly bedridden, had to buzz a nurse to go to the bathroom. It was a really trying time. And I was an active half marathon runner, and all of a sudden I couldn't run. I didn't know who I was. I wasn't able to work. And I was a teacher at the time. But I think it was whatever you believe in, God, universe, spirit's way of saying, Beth, you're not listening. You're just overwhelmed. You're overstressed. And I think that was almost the best gift that ever happened to me. As painful, horrible as it was, it stripped me of all the things that were keeping me stuck. And instead I had to kind of refine myself. And with that came me healing myself of the depression, the anxiety, the fear that my brain's going to bleed again. Will I ever be able to walk again? With that, I had to then overcome that stuff and gain this tool set that then kind of led me on a path to start coaching women, transforming their lives. But really the women that I was attracting were women that were struggling with their marriages. And so now I've become an expert at helping women save their marriages, particularly those women whose husbands aren't on board. They're I don't want to go to counseling, but the wives are just so stuck, unhappy, not sure what to do. So I teach them how to transform themselves to transform their marriages.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I did not know that about, that wasn't in the application.
Oh, did I forget that part? It's a big one.
That's huge. And that's such an interesting way that you got to be where you are. So thank you for sharing that. So how did you get into, I'm not even familiar with what hypno-journeying is. So what is that?
It's a unique term coined by myself, Soulify Wellness. I'm the founder and owner of it. And through the process of my own healing and just the studying I've done, is hypnosis is this incredible way to access our subconscious mind. So we have our conscious mind. That's what we're using right now. We're talking back and forth. We can rationalize, we can analyze, we can make plans. But our subconscious mind, which is actually 95% of our brain power, it holds so much. It holds all our memories. That's where the power is. And hypnosis is a way to get deeply relaxed. And there's a lot of hangups about hypnosis, feeling am I going to be out of control? And am I going to be told to rob a bank and then I'll rob a bank? None of that's true. In fact, it's a really gentle process of getting relaxed to what I call a theta brainwave state. And that's that state, you wake up in the morning and the alarm clock goes off. You're what time is it? Is it Saturday? Is it Monday? Do I need to get up for work? You were just dreaming. You're not quite 100% functioning in the world yet, but you have that awareness between conscious and unconscious. That's the state we go to. It's a very similar state where you could get up and hop up and be hey, what's going on? Or you could kind of go back to your dreams. That's the money state where you're really going to make some massive change in your life. Instead of saying, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself in the mirror, we can do some hypno journeys. What I call them hypno journeys. We use the hypnosis, and then we take you on a journey into your mind to times when maybe you didn't love yourself. You didn't feel good enough. You felt rejected. You felt abandoned. You felt out of control. So it allows us to go back to those memories. So I call it journeying, where we go back, we find those memories, our mind reveals them to us, and then we do some healing around those really difficult times and get your power back over them so that you don't have that anger, frustration, embarrassment, shame, guilt from your past still hanging out with you in the future. So it combines hypnosis and meditation. Some people refer to it as meditation on steroids.
Okay. So I a few years ago, I was hypnotized at a fair, right? Like they brought me on stage and, because I had so many doubts about it. And every year, like I would watch the hypnotist, like hypnotize people. And I'd be like, that's kind of like bull. Like, what are they really getting hypnotized? Like, are they really acting like a chicken or what? And so I decided one year that I was going to be brave enough to do it because like, if it was real, then, I wanted to find out for myself. So I remember coming out of it and feeling very similar to like falling asleep on the beach. It was like this state of pure, like I was so relaxed, but yet it was like I was still aware. Like I was still aware of things. And it was just this crazy feeling of that, like hypnosis. And I remember like feeling like just as if I slept for 10 hours and yet still being like that dreamlike state. It was a really weird feeling. And so that's my connection, or that's my understanding of hypnosis. So when I saw the hypnotherapy, the word hypnos in there. So I figured it had something to do with that. But I understand that you're taking them on a journey of healing through being hypnotized.
Yeah.
So what would be the reason like that somebody would want to go on this journey? Like, can you
Yeah.
give us
Well,
some
why
ideas
would you
there?
want to go on a hypno journey, or why you'd
Sure.
want to,
Why
yeah,
would it
like
be different than
yeah.
just like going to a therapist?
Yeah. A therapist, I can't speak for all therapists, but a lot of times if you're using like a cognitive behavioral therapy or just like a talk therapy, you get results, but it can take a long time. Or sometimes you don't have the lasting results. Or sometimes you go to your therapist and it's more of a venting session. It feels really good to get the stuff off your chest. And you spend part of that session maybe rehashing what you've done in the last 2 weeks. In the very end, you kind of come up with, okay, you're going to try this, this, and this, and you're going to report back in a week or so. It's good. It helps, but it doesn't get results fast. Instead, you know what? We can skip all the talking. I don't need to hear about the drama and the itty bitty nitty gritty things, because often if you're mad at your husband because there's socks still left on the floor, and that's just a really basic example, it's not about the socks. It's about the layers that are deeper,
Sure.
deeper down, the memories of all the times he's left his socks or ignored you or didn't listen to you. It's about the deeper stuff. And so that's why it's so important, I think, to let's just get to the subconscious stuff. Like, I don't need to hear all the details. I want to just know what's bothering you. So the first thing I would always ask is, what are you feeling right now? The feeling is the jumping off point. I'm angry. Why are you angry? I'm angry because he's not listening to me. Okay, so what's the belief? The belief is I don't feel heard. I'm not understood. Nobody understands me. And that's the belief. No one understands me. When have you felt like no one's understood you in your past? And so now we start to pick apart, when have you felt this? When did this behavior actually start where you started to feel this way? And that's what really matters. I don't need to know what was said in that conversation. I just need to know what's the emotion, what's the belief. Now let's figure out why that belief is within you, because I want you to feel heard. I want you to feel confident. I want you to feel worthy of your voice. And so that's when you would start this process of really going back in time to undo some of the painful moments in your past. You see it with empowerment. You never relive your traumas.
Right. So I am a cognitive behavioral therapist.
Yeah. Oh, I know. So but not all therapies. Some clients, it's just they go in and they talk. Cognitive behavioral therapy, I shouldn't have thrown that in there exactly that same way, because it is a very powerful tool.
No, I know. But when you were talking, like clients love to bring things up 10 minutes before the session's done. And I feel that hypnotherapy would be a great tool to like skip all of that other piece and be like, let's just get to the meat of what is going on, because that's a lot of that drama and a lot of like what's going on the last 2 weeks. And it takes a while to get to that point, the part where like you're uncovering the beliefs and you're uncovering like, what is the gist and how can we start fixing that, rather than like all of that other stuff that it takes, 45 minutes to get to during a therapy session. So just when you said that, I was like, yeah, I'm like, talk therapy does take a long time. It is a process, because you do have all that other pieces that come into play before you can get to the meat of the problem.
And as a therapist, you need to go through those steps to pull out what is
Right.
the core root problem that you're wanting to solve. But sometimes if we can just distill it, sometimes I say to my clients when they come on for a session, I'm like, let's not talk right now. I'm just going to wave my magic wand. What is the one thing you don't want to feel anymore? and let's just get to that right now. And we'll just go to it. If it's like, you know what, I want to stop feeling like nobody likes me. I'm like, okay, let's figure out when have the people not liked you in your past. And we just go to those memories from the past and we start cleaning it up there.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can get rid of, but as humans, we want to be heard, right? And so there is a place for talking. And there's often a combination of these. A lot of my clients, they see their therapist and they see me. They use both. And that's what it is, I think, in this healing journey. It's a toolbox. It's not a one size fits all solution. It's, what do you feel like today? Do you need to meditate today? Do you want to just go for a walk today? Do you want to do some gentle yoga or stretching? Like, what is it that your body needs today to heal? And it's not always a one thing all the time.
Right, right. So let's talk about the inner child, right? So somebody comes to you and they're struggling in their marriage. What does their inner child have anything to do with healing?
Oh, for sure. Our inner child's like, it's not a bad thing. Like, so often it gets a bad rap, like, oh, you're a wounded inner child. But our inner child's that like playful spirit within you, the one that like likes to get down and just play, get dirty. And as an adult, we kind of lose our inner child because it's looked as like faux pas to be like wanting to just get messy and dirty or play. And but it's a beautiful like part of you, but it also, that young little you, especially between ages kind of like that young, like newborn to age 8, when your mind is just a subconscious sponge, just absorbing everyone around you, their words as truth. So if somebody might say that that's a boy's toy, you don't play with that, or that's those boys' bike. And so it's things like that that start to form our beliefs. And so this inner child has these beliefs that society has kind of projected onto that child, or parents around them. So I call those the ingrained beliefs. It's what society tells you is right or wrong. We know what right or wrong is, bad and good at a very young age, but sometimes those rules aren't actually authentic to us. We want to jump outside that box, but we're ridiculed for it. So we have this inner child that's formed. And sometimes this inner child also has certain traumas, major traumas, abuse, bullying, deaths in the family, traumatic stuff with like family. And so that's our inner child. So I think it's really important to look back and see what parts of us formed at that age that kind of got us off our like authentic path. And I believe we come to this world whole, like as this beautiful spirit, this soul. But sometimes we get knocked off our course based on those around us. And so when did we get knocked off course? Why are we off course? What beliefs did we form that aren't actually helping us, that are making us feel really stuck in adulthood? And often I find these things come up in marriage because marriage is like a magnifying glass for a lot of things that are wrong in our lives. And not bad wrong, it's just like all of a sudden it comes to a head in your marriage. That's when you feel not good enough, you don't feel heard, you don't feel seen, you don't feel accepted. That stuff really comes up in your marriage. So this is a good time to work on yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes complete sense. That makes a lot of sense. And so when somebody comes to you and they are dealing with like some trauma or some things that are in their past, like before, I love how you just said about the magnifying glass, because it's true. Like things that you may have been experiencing like as a single person or prior to even being a mom or a wife can really can become very apparent when it shows up in those relationships. But when they come to you and they're struggling with these things, how do you help them feel whole again or come to terms with their inner child so that they can bring that back to their marriage?
Yeah. Oh, it's just a beautiful process. Number one is connecting with, who do you want to be? Like, I don't think we can make ourselves happy until we actually know, what is it that I want to be? So I always start with a process called the true you. Like, what is it? Where are you now? It's kind of like, here I am.
The target.
Yeah. What's the target? What are we hitting? Where are you now? And then what's in the middle in between where you want to go? And often I hear the same thing. Every woman, they just want to be happy. Happy is always number one. I want to feel confident. I want to feel calm. Like they just want this calm, confident happiness, ease, where they can just like breathe and not feel the stress. It's like their backpack of like heavy burdens is lifted off of them. They all want that, but we all have different stuff cluttering us up in the middle. So how do we get there? That's the big thing, is we have to start figuring out, like, it's the same thing. It's the same process. Like, what is it that you're feeling today? Like all our triggers, every time we're triggered, that's like, we can trigger ourselves with our own thoughts. It could be someone else's words, someone else's actions, someone else's things that they didn't do, like non-actions. Those trigger us. And I think triggers are our body's way of being like, hey, listen to me. I'm not okay with this, because with a trigger comes an emotion, a trigger emotion. And that sadness, that fear, the guilt, whatever that feeling is, if we could put it into words, if the words are, let's see here, I'm trying to think of a different one. I feel like I never do anything right. I feel like I'm always wrong. Maybe that's the message. Like your husband just kind of like dismissed something you said, and it just makes you feel defeated a little, like, oh, I never do anything right. I always mess up dinner, or something like that. That trigger of messing up dinner, is something that you need to work on within yourself. And so when we can work on that within yourself, and we can use journaling, we can use hypno-journeying, meditation, going for walks, but just really getting clear on what it is that's happened, and then going back and seeing times in your life when maybe you felt like people thought you were wrong or doing things wrong, whether it was in school, whether it was in university, whether it's with your parents. We go back to those times and we actually go back to them with your authentic self. So that's the thing. I will just say I regressed you back to like age 10 when your parents were mad at you. We actually bring in your authentic self, that version, that target that you want to hit. We bring her into your journey. And it's like she's your great inner parent. She's the parent you always needed. She's the adult you always needed to be like your biggest cheerleader. It's like, you know what your parents are saying, that's their own lens. You can see why they want things done perfectly because of their parents. And that's how they're taught. And this is their form of loving you, but it's not the way you want to be loved. And it's like this whole coaching that you almost give yourself. We all have the tools to heal ourselves from within. We just don't know how to access them. So it's like you kind of heal yourself with your authentic self, this older, wiser parent that's actually you.
Yeah. So can hypno-journeying be integrated with other, like you mentioned some tools, right? Like the journaling and the meditation. How about other, like, can it be integrated with couples counseling?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know what I say, like, I never want to overwhelm someone, because some women are like, should I do this, this, and this? I was like, whew, let's take a break. You're feeling overwhelmed. We don't need to put this on your plate. But if your husband will go to, like, I do have clients they go to couples counseling like every other week. They go to couples counseling, every week, but then she'll also do individual every other week. Plus she has me, and I'm with my clients Monday to Friday. They have a messaging access to me, so they can leave me a message at 1 a.m. I can't sleep because this and this and this is on my mind. And I can get back to them the next day with some strategies, but they have the tools and that's what works for them. So absolutely, I say, bring in your therapists as well as this modality. Like, I think they all serve a purpose. They absolutely do. And like I just said, there's not one that fixes all, but the one I use, it goes really deep into memories, and really can change out memories, which then if you feel like you're good enough in your 5, you then will feel good enough now. But we got to clean up the stuff from the past when you felt that way.
Okay. So how can somebody work with you?
Great question. So you can reach out to me on social media. I'm on Instagram, Facebook. Pretty much you can find me anywhere, Soulify Wellness. Or you can go to my website, www.soulifywellness.com, and connect with me there.
Okay. What do you do for fun? We talk a lot about like self-care and making time for ourselves and creative pursuits. And so I love to ask our guests, what do you do for fun?
Oh my gosh, anytime I can be in nature, like a beach, hike, walk, I don't know, nature. If I could just be outside, I want to make an office outside. I just love being outside, in quiet. I used to like to run with friends or listen to music while I was running. Not anymore. I just want to be in my just hear nature. So to me, that's a lot of fun. Being with my boys is of course a lot of fun, but away from technology, that's what's fun for me.
Well, and you had mentioned about how you were doing half marathons. I had done a few of them. I'm doing a 0, or what is it, couch to 5K right now, because it's been a while, and I'm like, I need to get back to running. Like, it's just something, like, I feel like my body's calling me back.
Oh, I think that's a spring thing too, right? As spring comes, you're just feeling energized,
Yep.
like get out of hibernation and start moving your body. So I love that, couch to 5K.
Yeah. So what do you have a book that you can recommend to our listeners?
You know what? If you want to just kind of play around with some of this energetic stuff, like some of my favorite authors would be Louise Hay. Like, she's got this book called Heal Your Body, which is really neat. Like, again, it's just little tools for your toolbox. Louise Hay, I really like. Wayne Dyer, is another one I love. Joe Dispenza, like, he does some really great stuff. But Louise Hay might be a nice starting off point. Okay. Heal Your Body. It talks about, like, if you have back aches, what does that mean? It means, oh, you're not supporting yourself. And she gives some tools she's got this belief that we hold our emotions in certain spots of our body. And if we can tap into that area of your body and release whatever pain you're holding, because she truly believes that we manifest disease in our body through having spots in our body that have disease in it. So just a neat, a neat read, just whether you take it all on or not, but it's a fun little read.
Yeah, that sounds like it. I'm thinking I'm just working with a client now with some chronic pain, and that might be a good recommendation for her. So you already mentioned, where can people find you? I just want to thank you so much for coming on to the show and sharing with us your wisdom today.
Oh, absolutely. And I have some like a free gift. If anyone
Oh,
wants a
yeah.
guide, I have one. It's called 3 Ways to Save a Marriage. So if you want some free stuff, www.freemarriageguide.com. So you can check that out. It's a little download that you can have a read through with a few more tips.
Awesome. And I will go ahead and put that link in the show notes of today's episode. So definitely follow up with Beth and follow her, grab her free gift. And awesome. So thank you so much for coming on.
Amazing. Thanks for having me.